name's Mike Van Daren. I own Phoenix Air Conditioning and Heating. We're located in South Orange County, California. Been in business since 1998. It started out as a home business, and I thought it would stay that way. I've always had a mechanical mind. I have mechanical abilities. So I started out working for the city of Long Beach as a heavy equipment mechanic. And I worked with them for about 16 years. In the evenings, I would work on other people's cars, friends, family, changing brakes, clutches, and I was getting a lot more satisfaction out of that than I was working for the city. And so I took some classes on how to start your own business. And I was thinking about opening a garage. But the cost to open a garage was a couple $100,000, and I didn't want to put that. I didn't have that money, and they were talking about you need at least 3 bays. I didn't have any experience in managing. I said, nah, this isn't for me. So my brother had gotten into the air conditioning business, and he wanted to start it his own. So I gave him the seed money. It was like $5,000. Buy a van and a fax machine, and he worked out of his home. Within a year, he had me paid back. And that got me to thinking, this is what I want to get into. That was a very difficult decision for me because I was leaving something that was comfortable, something that was providing for my family. And it was a struggle internally to take that step to cash in my retirement, go to school in Phoenix, leave my family here in California, 2 young children, my wife, a mortgage, and it's basically a leap of faith. And I knew if I take this step, we're going all the way. School lasted about 15 months. It was hard being away from the family. For me, it was lonely. For my wife, it was a madhouse. She had 2 young children. Things were breaking. So every 2 weeks, I would go home. At that time, PSA, you could fly round trip for $39. So I bought 10 of these tickets. And I'd go home every second weekend, and I'd be hit with this list of to-dos. The washing machine broke, the microwave broke. And all I wanted to do was pick my kids up and hug my wife. But yeah, that was tough. But it was a motivator to get through school. In fact, I doubled up on my classes at the last 3 months. Went from 8 in the morning till 9 at night. And that shortened up my graduation time. Yeah, I never looked back. I knew from the very start I would have my own business in air conditioning, and went through school that way, did my apprenticeship with companies here in Orange County with the same intent, and I let my employers know I'm only here for a couple of years, and they were fine with that. So after 3 years in the field and 1 year of schooling, I had enough credit to get my own contractor's license. So I can remember the first day I was open for business. It was June of 1998, and I was excited. I got my contractor's license. I had my van, had my tools, didn't have a logo, didn't have anything to market myself. And I can remember just sitting by the phone waiting for it to ring and thinking, nobody even knows who I am. I've got to go out and generate some business. Now, my wife's a great networker. She can talk to anybody in an elevator, doesn't matter. So she got the word out. And as it turned out, my neighbor was general manager of a restaurant here in Dana Point Harbor, and they were looking for a refrigeration mechanic. And so I stepped in, and one thing led to another. And then I also took on home warranties, American Home Shield, Fidelity, and just for the intent purpose of gaining customers, building a database. I wasn't working for the home warranty company. In my mind, I was working for the people that they were referring to me. And I still have those customers today. Now, I dropped the home warranties years ago because you can't make any money on them. But it did help build a foundation. It took about 3 years for the referrals to come around. To say things were lean in the beginning wouldn't be an exaggeration. We ended up selling our home because I couldn't maintain the mortgage. We downsized, moved to San Juan Capistrano, and built from there. And then by the time that third year rolled around and the referrals were working, that's when things started to grow. I didn't have any specific goals because I didn't really know what I was getting into. Yeah, you have this grand idea of building a business, but I was clueless. I mean, I'm a technician at heart, but I saw other companies and what they were doing. And I'm thinking, I can do that. Still working out of the house, and never really intended to move out of the house. I was comfortable there, making decent money, but I was limited to the type of work I could do. My son at that time, who was fairly young, he was about 12, would assist me with installs, getting furnaces up into the attics, that kind of thing. And those were difficult years, for a father-son relationship, because some of these installs were difficult, and I'd yell at him, "Get that thing up here!" And I just, you start to lose your cool. So he saw Dad's worst, but he still stuck with me. One of the limitations would be there's just one of me. So if I had the potential, or I had the opportunity to take on a large contract, let's say change out 5 or 6 systems, it'd be impossible to do, especially if it was rooftop equipment. And so I had to be careful about what I said yes to, because I didn't want to let anybody down. For me, reputation is key. If you lose your reputation, you've got nothing. I don't care how much money you make. There's a period in about 2006, I injured my back and recovered from it fairly quickly. But then the winter of that same year, my son and my daughter had me go to June Mountain and said, "Dad, you got to learn how to snowboard." I said, "All right, I'll give it a try." And I've always skied. And horrible conditions. The ice was like concrete, and I had my wrist guards on, and I was going down the backside of a mountain probably 1 or 2 miles an hour. I wasn't even moving, and I caught an edge and I fell back, snapped both my wrists. At that moment, I couldn't work. I had people to take care of. I had my accounts already. So I've been in business for 8 years. And it was very depressing, to say the least. And I was able to get my neighbor to become my hands. And he was my driver. And his father had taught him small appliance repair. So he had knowledge, and he helped get me through that 6 weeks until I could heal. That's when I knew, if I become physically enabled, I can't take care of my family. So I need to look to the future. And I didn't put it in concrete thoughts at the time. That was just something in the back of my mind, saying I need to be careful of my body. If I can't perform, I can't make any money. So that also became a part of the decision to grow a business. Bob Pritchard, who owns the local Johnstone here, offered to send my son and myself to a seminar put on by BDR. It was called New Path to Profit. He offered to pay for my son if I would pay for my way. I said, sure, we'll give it a shot. What could I lose? And it was at that time we met Barry and really got to know his passion for the industry. And he encouraged my son in a way that I was flabbergasted. Because my son at the time he was a surfer. Barely made it through high school. But something about that interaction between him and Barry caused him to turn to me and say, "Dad, let's grow this business." And so that was the impetus. That started the growth. In the beginning, BDR, they connect you with a coach. And so it's very important that you connect with your coach. And we did right up front. Dave Consuelo has been our coach since 2012. So he knew my struggles and where I was at this stage of growth. Because we were starting from the ground floor. To go from one guy to however far we can take this. What they do is they provide vision. Without a vision, it's just another day. It's Groundhog Day. You just keep repeating the same thing. And they help set priorities, looking at different areas where we need to strengthen ourselves. So the first one was the right people. And that began with the hiring of Brian. Brian worked for San Onofre nuclear power plant. He had his own business in Texas, air conditioning business. Tremendous amount of knowledge, and he was able to run. Whatever I fed him, he could take it. I didn't even have to follow up with him. And then after that, I hired Mike, my first installer. And Mike he was a craftsman. He just made installs look beautiful, and my customers commented on it. He could do a better job than I could, so I knew that was the right move. And then the next hire was Holly, who's my general manager today. Holly was taking care of the office and growing that side of it. She has a very strong HR background, which is a huge plus today. The idea of bringing somebody on and paying them a salary was scary. It was scary. It was also at that time that we decided to lease a 6,000 square foot office warehouse and move the operation out of the home and turn it into a real business. That was also scary because we're signing a lease. And I felt it the first time, we're moving in a direction where if we move back, it's going to cost us quite a bit of money. So we have to press forward. So each time you're making these decisions, you have to go in it with the idea that we're going forward. We are not going back. Really, the next big step was taking on our financial coach and being able to, actually for me, just learning how to read financials. I do great with an electrical schematic, but you put a P&L statement in front of me, I really don't know what I'm looking at. And so that was part of the growth too, learning the business and not being so much in it, but building it. Probably the biggest takeaway was just developing your budget for the next year. And initially, I was clueless. I had no idea how to budget or how to forecast. Had no experience with it. Had never taken any classes before. So there was a lot of hand-holding initially, and just relying on the wisdom of my coach. And what was remarkable was, after our first year, those numbers, we were within just a few $1,000s of what was forecasted. And talking about becoming a believer, I said, all right, we're on the right track. Holly is tenacious. She takes on the responsibility of almost being an owner. She owns her position. And without her, these struggles would have been too large. I couldn't have overcome them without her. My wife jokes that Holly's my second wife. I don't laugh at the joke, but I understand what she's saying. Her position here is a key player. She handles all the inside operations. Like I said, she was excellent in HR, and she knows how to write procedures, things I don't enjoy at all. She was my third hire that I would count as critical to the growth of this company.
For me, when I got the total buy-in for BDR was probably taking the financial class with Kim Archer in Atlanta. I was probably 50% in still, but I wasn't really quite sure. And then I went to this wonderful accounting class, and it wasn't a QuickBooks accounting class. It was really on the business side. And I probably was there for one day, and I called Mike that night and I said, I get it now. This is a well-oiled machine, and if we just follow their steps, we can't fail because we have us, and that's the value. We don't need to be worrying about creating this wheel that the professionals have already figured it out. We just need to take their footprint and then figure out how it applies to us, use the pieces we can right now, and just go for it. For me, my lifeline was BDR. They're the ones that helped me learn the intricate part that I had no idea. And I didn't have a mentor to go to. I had a technician that became an owner that was looking at me to help him get there. And I didn't know how to help him get there because I didn't know how to get there. And then there was this BDR. And BDR became my lifeline. And through their guidance, their beyond the amount that you would ever need of paperwork, of every single process and procedure that could take me forever to go through. I don't have to think about it.
It's just been within the last year that I have people that I can rely on. This is the first year that I've been able to actually schedule 3 weeks of vacation, and that was one of my goals, was to take the company to the point where I could pull back and it would run itself. To me, that's success. That's when I know I've gotten there. Growth has been phenomenal, and our advertising budget is minimal. I mean, we don't put anything in advertising to speak of. It's all it's still word of mouth, and again, it gets back to keeping your word and having a strong reputation, because that reputation is not only with your customers, it's with your employees and it's with your suppliers. People watch, they listen. Even though we live in a very heavily populated area, there's only so many players, and you get to know who they are and what their reputations are. And my goal as an owner is to have the best reputation out there. I have 15 people now working for me. I never thought that would be possible. And so my focus isn't on the technical side anymore. It's on business, and how do I grow it? And how do I make it enjoyable? I've always wanted to work for a company where people are engaged and laughing and excelling at what they do. And that's what we're fostering here. My life's changed drastically, and to the point where it's both frightening and exhilarating, because I'm taking steps that I never thought I would, making commitments I never thought I would. As a Christian, I have this picture, and it's me on a roller coaster. I'm gripping that bar, and we're going down. I got Jesus sitting next to me. He's got his hands up, and he's saying, "Enjoy the ride, Mike!" And I am just white-faced, and I'm just going for it. That's what my life's like today. It's amazing. Yeah, life like I never thought it would be. I can recall the week after I was married, how people viewed me differently as somebody who's responsible now, somebody who's taking on something worthy. And becoming a business owner is the same way, especially a successful business owner with a good reputation, it's something worthy, something worth going after. And that's what BDR has helped me to achieve. The moment we signed up until today, we're talking a 5-year period, we've increased our sales by 500%. No exaggeration, it's been a ride. I thought I would grow to, maybe 12, 15 people in the company. And now I can see that's just the beginning. Extending that vision out, and it's something BDR continues to provide, and realizing, yeah, I can do this. So we're just gonna take this as far as we can. I just want to continue to grow, not only as a business owner, but just a human being.